Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. I promised you guys that I was going to share something super personal, and I'm doing that. So, trigger warning. Anyone who gets triggered by crying, I am warning you right now, before I get into this whole live, that it is very likely that I'm going to cry during this live talk this morning. I promised y'all. Good morning, sunshine. Hi. I promised you guys that I was going to share some personal stuff, and yesterday at the end of my live, I was looking in my office for this book that my father wrote, because I wanted to literally tell you guys that my father even wrote in this thing the shit that I've told y'all. Like, you guys, a lot of people think that I'm probably making up some of this stuff. I am not making it up, because, like, why would I? Why would I make it up? You guys, let's start from the beginning. I paralyzed my mother from the waist down when she gave birth to me, and my father was too drunk to drive me home from the hospital for the first 5 days that I was there. So my mom's friend had to drive us home from the hospital because my dad was shit-faced and my mom couldn't walk, and that's a whole nother story. She ended up being in a wheelchair and canes and walking things for like 8 years through rehab, through water rehab and like pools and stuff. My dad went into rehab and stuff. I've seen so much stuff. So I guess I will just start getting into the thick of it. So I've told you guys about this book that my dad supposedly wrote for me, but it's nothing about me except for like one little sentence. But this is the book that my dad wrote that literally talks about how absent he was in my life. And some of the things that I've told you guys, that's a lot of you probably think that I'm bullshitting. I am not bullshitting. It's packed in here. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with something really crazy, to even get this started off a little more funky. I have not talked to my parents for it's been a couple years now. And my dad sent this on 5/14/2025. And I have spoken about this, but on 5/14/2025, I also had the most intense psilocybin, which is magic mushrooms, experience of my life. And it's just crazy that same night that I had an crazy expansion is the very same day that my father wrote on this book and then shipped it out to me. Good morning. Hi. I talk about how things like always align. This is it. Like, literally, he signed it 5/14/2025, and I wasn't talking to him. I'm still not talking to him when he sent this to me. So, and he told me, he actually lied about it again. He told me he finished this book when I was a kid. I endlessly asked to read it, and he never would let me see it, and I know why, because he never actually finished it until I finally cut his ass off. So, let's get to it. Let's get into some of this book that my dad wrote. And also, quick little thing. I've told you guys that my dad loved dogs. All the dogs more than me. Even the picture on the background of this book he wrote is him with a damn dog. I literally cannot make this shit up. So let me just get in here and start reading some stuff that, this is the drunk log. Okay. Let's see. How about we start with what he calls the descent. Hi, darling. Hi. All right, so the descent. I was just drinking at home. And in general, I was starting not to care about so much. I honestly rationalized at one point that by drinking at home, at least I was being with my family. In reality, I was slowly isolating myself. More and more things were happening all around me, and I just wasn't noticing. Like my daughter growing up, I existed in an alcohol-induced fog, and I was alone. I told myself that I loved my family more than anything in the world. And here again was another lie. I told you guys I'm going to try not to cry during this live. But this is big trigger for me. This is why I couldn't find it yesterday, because I purposely hid this because this hurts the shit out of me. I literally hid it in my office on purpose so that I wouldn't even remember where I hid it. I just knew I had it in that cubicle in my office yesterday. Okay. I told myself that I loved my family more than anything in the world. Here again was another lie. I was lying to myself. I loved my booze the most. I was really starting to have trouble just dealing with normal everyday occurrences, aka me. I told you guys my dad was scary angry. He was terrifying. My anxiety level was always maxed. The smallest tasks were taking on Herculean proportions. Issues were blown completely out of context, and my fears were becoming ever more irrational. These are my dad's words. Guys, I am not making this shit up. I went and I lived through fucking hell as a kid. Let's read some more. And I've told you guys this, and it's in this book. I'm reading it word for word, so you guys literally have proof that I am not making this shit up. Okay? I asked my 8-year-old daughter what she wanted for her birthday. She told me that she wanted her daddy to quit drinking. At first, I didn't believe her. I didn't believe that she understood what she was asking. I blamed my wife for putting her up to it. I told you guys that when my dad asked, this might have even been alive like a couple weeks ago. My birthday party was at a fucking bar to begin with. This party was at a fucking bar. And yeah, I had wished since I was 5 years old that my dad would quit drinking because he was so effing terrifying. And when I told my dad that, he lashed out on my mom. I mean, lashed out on her. And he even says in here, I didn't believe that she understood what she was asking. Oh, I fucking understood what I was asking. His ass was scary. His ass is still scary. I blame my wife for putting her up to it. I was in denial. Another typical aspect of my drug addiction. When I asked my daughter a couple of weeks later, she told me again that she wanted a real daddy. Oh, God, hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm really trying. This is like, I'm testing myself when I'm going through this. Because if I can... I don't want to ruminate. I don't need to ruminate. I'm just telling you guys stuff. So let me just keep going. He basically, in this next part, he talks about how he tried quitting several times. And he says, what I never truly realized was that the physical part was the easy part. I never recognized that each time that I quit prior to this time. Hold on, sorry guys. That it was getting harder mentally, emotionally, and psychologically for me. And it was taking me longer to get back to some semblance of normality. I knew that I was at the end of my line and I was losing my daughter. Unfortunately, he had already lost me, clearly, and I don't speak to him now, so, yeah. I was having severe anxiety attacks. I was irrationally obsessive compulsive. I was having trouble performing simple everyday functions. I didn't have a real clue what was happening mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. It was just crippling. I had lost control, and I was truly and honestly afraid. In the spring of 2000, I entered the Hageman guest house, not just to stay sober, but to survive. My dad even was saying in here that he was trying to survive while I was a freaking child, y'all. Okay? Like, I'm going to get into all this other stuff. Let me keep going. Okay. My family had a history of drug and alcohol abuse. Addicts are basically selfish and self-centered people. Okay, here's something. I made the statement that I loved my family more than anything in the world. Wrong, was the immediate response from my instructor. Who did drinking benefit, and who was it for? Certainly not my family. But at the core, my drinking was absolutely self-indulgent and selfish. I loved drinking more than anything in the world. To this day, I still try to remind myself and direct my activities so as not to be selfish. Sometimes more successfully than others. Guys, this is my... Good morning! Hi! These are my dad's words. Like, I cannot make this stuff up. A really vexing part of the program for me was the concept of a surrender to a superior power. God, if you would. Who I call Source. You guys can call him God, Buddha, Source, whatever it may be, our ascension around. My father literally says, it was the concept of a surrender to a superior power. The thought process behind this, without going into a lot of detail, I had trouble with this. It sounded like catharsis to me, and in my case, it just wasn't going to happen. I told you guys. Okay, again, I'm trying not to cry. But I'm literally reading my dad's book about my life. He had to write a story of his life. He ended up burning it because his instructor even said it was too ugly to lay around. When I had finally... I just told you guys that, I've mentioned this numerous times. On my 8th birthday, I had a clown. The party was at a bar. And I asked my father When he asked me what I wanted for my birthday, I told him I wanted to quit drinking. And he thought I was fucking around and joking, and I wasn't. And then a couple weeks later, he asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said I wanted a real daddy, which even when he quit drinking, I still never got because he still was not present. Which I'll get into more. I had begun into a complete basket case. When I came out, I was still having anxiety attacks. I still had all sorts of issues, some that I didn't even know about. And I still had a ton of damage to repair on many fronts. My father, my father begged to not even leave rehab. He didn't even want to fucking come back home. And I'm about to just read that. I really didn't want to go. In any case, I went home to start over. These are my dad's words. He didn't even want to fucking come home from rehab. Okay, let's keep going. These are my dad's words, y'all. I kept having panic attacks with anxiety and anxiety attacks. Rather, they were instances where I'd go off on a tangent of irrational fear for extended periods of just obsessing about it. For the most part, the fear was fabricated and existed in my head. I was obsessed with my health, even though there was no clinical reason for it. I was anxious about this and that. I was stressed about this and that. I was all over the place. Anything that I could think of, I could worry about, and this is where I would get myself caught. I told you guys, my dad, good morning. Told y'all that my dad literally would lock himself in what I referred to as the cave, the den, whatever mood I was in that day. It all felt the same way. But he had chimes on the fucking door. So if I even walked by it too close, he would know that I was nearby and was possibly going to interrupt him from playing video games in his room rather than hanging out with his daughter. Okay. And I'm not even going to get into all of his OCD and all that stuff. He was a complete germaphobe. I couldn't touch him. Couldn't kiss him. He washed his hands like, oh my God. So many. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful this morning. Look at that. He washed his hands so many times. Like, whenever he left the house, he had to unplug everything because he thought the house was going to turn on fire because he did have one of his houses burned down. So I do understand that trauma there. But still, someone living as a child with that, having to go through and unplug everything in your house literally every single time you walk out the door. Okay. In any case, again, these are my dad's words. In any case, I should interject here that I was always a bit of a worrier. Throughout my life, there was always a tendency to take issues out of context and then blow them up. So even issues your daughter had, you would take them out of context and blow them up. Yeah. Combine that with OCD, take away the tirading effect of alcohol, and you had a toxic combination when I finally quit drinking. In retrospect, I think there were always two versions of me. Fearless while I was drinking and anxious when I was sober. When I finally sobered up for good, I got the third version of me. Kind of out of control. These are my dad's words. He literally said that he was out of control while he was raising me. I am not making this shit up. I lived through fucking hell. Even though I've tried talking to this now, he still is like not really gotten into it. But he goes, although I have no clinical proof, I am positive that all those years of drinking caused an imbalance of chemistry in my brain. Yeah, dude. And this is what your daughter tried talking to you about even 2 years ago. And he didn't want to listen. So, let's see. He ended up, he was a drug addict too. My father was a drug addict. drinking, all the stuff. So once he got out of rehab, he even said he was out of control because alcohol gave him some semblance of normality, I suppose. But he started going through Xanax. He got addicted to Xanax. And he even says here, if I was going to abuse anything again, it would be alcohol, my first and my only love. I'm not making this up, guys. Like, this is my dad's words. My dad's words. That's him. Okay? This is a book that he wrote and he sent to me a year ago. And I am in no contact with them. Okay? So this is like real shit. Let's go to here. At this point, I want to mention the concept of being inside myself. It is hard to describe, but I think that is something that every recovering addict can relate to if they stopped and thought about it. It's a state where you seem to be on the inside looking out. You guys probably know this feeling, but this is what I lived through as my childhood, and my father literally is admitting to the fact that he was not there. You are aware of things going on around you, and you react to them, but you don't really care. You see and hear things, but it's like looking through a window at things happening on the other side. You act and react almost like an automation, and your only clear and precise view of things is you and what is going on inside of you. And what is going on inside of you is not pleasant at all. You are hurting. It isn't a good place to be. And I didn't like being there. Fear put me there. Again, guys, these are my dad's words. This is his state of mind when I was a kid. He even says here, I wasn't real happy. Let me keep going. I'm only on page 28. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I told you guys that I was going to share some real personal stuff, and I am sharing the book that my dad wrote about basically what he thinks was his way of healing. I do appreciate the fact, I just got through most of it. I'll go through tidbits more of it again, but I just want you guys to see, like, I'm not making this shit up. Like, my dad literally says in his book that he loved alcohol more than anything. And I believe that. And I told you guys that my dad loves his dogs more than anything. Literally, even in this thing, there's a freaking dog in the picture. He even didn't see my daughters. My first daughter, who is now 5, he did not see her after I gave birth to her for a month because he said that his dog had diarrhea. And he didn't see my second daughter, who is now 3, for 3 months after she was born because his dog had diarrhea. And they only lived an hour and a half away. So, yeah. Actually, it was like an hour and 20. So, yeah. That's, he never showed up for me. He never, even though I'm not angry at him anymore. He did the best that he could. Obviously, he went through a lot of shit. My father, I always thought it was weird growing up. But I get it. He was doing the best that he could to try to give me a better life. And I wish that he was not a narcissist so that I could have I want a relationship with my parents, guys. It's like people who go no contact, like myself. I don't want to be like this. Like, I don't want to be no contact with my family. Like, I don't want this. It's not, I chose this because I had to for my own self, my own healing. Otherwise, I was just going to spiral and drain and go deeper. But my dad, like, he literally wrote in this book, like, that he loved alcohol. He loved things more than family. And I'm proud of my father and I'm glad that I can even say this now, because even a couple years ago, you guys can look at some of my earlier videos, I was still angry, very angry at all of this. But I'm proud of my father for what he did, which I thought was weird, but he cut off all of his family when I was a kid. And he only spoke to one of his brothers of all of the 18 that he had. 9 real brothers and sisters and 9 half brothers and sisters. 3 of which have already passed because of alcohol poisoning, and my aunt passed away from Crohn's disease. Aubrey, if you're watching this, you are probably one of the only cousins that I will ever talk to. Again, because I have a feeling that I don't even want to get into the depths of this, but Aunt Mandy, your mom, she had Crohn's disease, and our family dynamic is so bad that I believe that Crohn's disease was brought on by our family dynamic, girl. But yeah, my dad stopped speaking to everyone on his side of the family because of the, I see it now, obviously, because of the terrible, terrible, terrible emotional abuse and endless family dynamics. So, like, my dad, I guess, in a sense, like, it took me a long time to notice this, but my dad, in a sense, he is the one that started this healing journey for our family, although I am no contact with him because he is still too far deep in his own pain to get further along in his own healing journey. He had no contact with his whole family. I only met my grandmother, his mom, one time in my entire life. And I understand why he pulled me away from them, because if just him alone, with my mom, along with other things, had this much impact on me, I can guarantee that the reason he broke contact with all of his family back then was because he was trying to undo as much pain onto me as he could. And I just wish that his healing could go a bit further so that I could have that relationship with him, so that he wasn't a narcissist, and so that he could push through more of his healing. But he got through enough healing for me to get to this stage, for me to, I had to do exactly what he had to do. I had to cut my family off. He cut off his family for trying to save himself, and I'm doing the same. So I chip off the little block, I guess. But also, I am doing this because my daughters deserve better. My daughters deserve to feel loved, to have a present family. Good morning. To not be scared or to feel abandoned or neglected, or to just be wandering in the world feeling so alone. And there's a reason why I cut off my parents, is because what was it? I think my daughter was around 2 years old, my firstborn, and I had my parents come visit, and And I asked my dad specifically. I grew up with Doberman Pinschers and, Rottweilers, and I had a pit bull with an ex, and I love big dogs, so it's not like I'm scared of them. But his new Doberman Pinscher is very rowdy, and I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I knew she wouldn't bite her or anything. It's the owners that have the dogs be the way they are. But my dad, I asked him specifically. They live an hour and a half away, and I said, please don't bring Star. Emerson is 2 years old. She's my daughter. She also was born. She couldn't hear. She hears like she is underwater, and she has a -5 sight, so she can't. She was blind, and we couldn't really. We did so much testing with her to try to, because she was so smart. And clearly, I tell you guys about this. I'm autistic. Autism, it's a generational. I'll go into epigenetics. There's 3 generations of epigenetics to go through this. Blah 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 blah. But anywho, I already knew that my children were likely going to be autistic and have ADHD. That's genetics 101 with everything. Pop in some environmental stuff. My own healing, I am on here. I tell you guys all this stuff. I occasionally do raise my voice to my kids, but I will tell you, the second after I am done raising my voice, I get down on the ground and I apologize. And I tell them that I am not perfect. And I tell them that mommy made a mistake and that I'm sorry. And that mommy is learning too. And that we are learning together, and that they can ask me any questions that they want along the way, because I never got that. I got screamed at. Then I didn't get spoken to for a month, and I got ignored. My dad literally, this one time I just decided to track it, and it was 28 days in high school. My dad did not talk to me. That affected me so bad. I literally got, besides me cutting my wrists, these butterflies I got as a form of my own metamorphosis. And each one of those butterflies has 28 lines in it to remind myself of 28 days that I felt so fucking alone as a kid. And he went longer he went months without talking to me, even longer. But those 28 days really fucking wrecked me as a kid. I went through, at the same time that happened, my best friend at the time, from kindergarten, I ended up being a Backstreet Boys backup dancer, and I had to fly to Hawaii to perform in the halftime show for the Pro Bowl with the Backstreet Boys. And I wish I was making this up. I'm not making this up either. And when I was in Hawaii, I was there for a couple weeks practicing for the routine. I was in high school, guys. Literally had to have my braces taken off to be in the show, so I didn't look like I was a kid. I was constantly made an act. I always had to act and be older than I was. I have to take this off. I'm getting hot. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to. Oh, I don't. It's okay. I don't need sympathies. It's just I want y'all to. I don't want y'all to feel alone. Sorry, I just had poor connection. I don't know what I lost there or not. But I told y'all that. What was I going with this? I went through what I went through. Oh, I'm glad I went through what I went through, because I wouldn't be here telling y'all all about this. Where do I want to go with this? It's Oh, yeah, I'll get back to my whole father thing. I'm proud of him for breaking off that part of the relational trauma, because he's the one that essentially started the first step of this. And I don't know how much worse it would have been had he not started this journey. But he still is in his own pain and his own level of healing, and unfortunately I cannot help them any further. So I guess that's where it's at. I know I wanted to say something else, but y'all know my autism and ADHD is flying in the morning. I do want to say that I appreciate y'all coming on here and listening to this chat and being here through this. But yeah, I'm not making this shit up, guys. Oh, and I just saw that you said it hurts so much. Yeah, Silver Hope Witch, it does. It hurts so bad. Emotional abuse. I will get into this right now since and I'm sorry I apologize and not see that earlier. It hurts so much. Everything about it hurts. I hate not talking to my family. Like, a lot of people assume that people that go no. And I even want to say to the point that I'm jealous of families that I see where they do get to spend time with their mom and dad, and they do have that relationship. Like, I live half a mile down the road from my in-laws. They literally live in the same community. Like, they live in the same community as us. And it's hard. Even that's hard for me. My husband has to understand, like, it's hard for me to even see his mom and dad a lot because I am in no contact with my mom and dad. And that is triggering in itself. It gets a little overwhelming. Practices. I wish they could be there for Emerson and Sterling's everything. But I just know that the best choice for my daughters and for myself and my family's healing is to cut off the damage. So feels the best way to describe why people with emotional abuse cut off their families. If you were to pet a snake and then that snake went and hatch, it bit you, would you go back and bite that, or would you go back and bite that snake again? Would you go back and pet that snake again? Or would you be cautious of it? You'd probably be cautious of it, right? Just like if you pet a dog and it bit you, you'd be cautious of it. That's the most easy way for me to describe a heavily emotionally abused human. You see the other human as like a snake or a dog that bites you, and you do not want to go back to that human who is going to bite you. If you see that human and you see them as a slithering snake or a vicious dog, and every single time you're like, okay, they've calmed down, they've trained, they went to training, they're chill, we can try this again, they're not going to bite me this time. And you believe them with all of your gut and all of your might, And then the same thing happens again. You get bit. You're not going to go back eventually. And after 32 years of me trying to not get bit again and again and again, I gave up for my own health and my own healing and for a better version of me so that I can be a better version for my daughters. I have to heal so that my daughters do not feel the pain that I have felt my entire life. That is why I'm doing this. That is why I'm doing this for all of us, for you, for me, for your daughters, for your sons, for our daughters, for our sons, for the next generation, for us as millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, whoever you are. It's on us to kick out the old, I don't even want to say boomer mindset, because it's not like everyone in the boomer era is like this. It's just how millennials get like labeled with things. It's just a generation thing. But, you know, to kick out that old school mindset and to connect ourselves back with nature, or to connect ourselves back with ourselves. And it's a lot. I mean, with the digital age and everything, I can say this very easily. We have to be everything all at once, and so we have more pressure on ourselves than ever before. I mean, even a couple months ago, I was still a architect working, going in and out of work, still doing this, still cooking, still cleaning, still doing laundry, still doing this and that. Now, I am a stay-at-home mom, and I will say I honestly felt like it was, y'all are going to think this is crazy, but I honestly felt like it was easier when I was working, because the emotional toll to be a stay-at-home mom, to be the teacher, the cleaner, the everythinger, also being an entrepreneur, like a momtrepreneur. I mean, you're momming, and moms, especially moms in general, we get interrupted every 3 minutes. That's with one kid. So you pack on 2 kids, and if you have autistic and ADHD kids like myself, like me, you're probably going to get interrupted every minute. So try being it's really hard for us in this age to be everything. We have to be the best moms. We have to be the cooker, the cleaner, the this, the that, the teacher. And also on top of it, I mean, my husband works from home, so I'm literally doing it all now. And there's a lot of pressure on us as mothers to be all of it. And I think we need to give some grace to ourselves, to understand that we can't always give. You guys got to give back to yourselves. This is why I get up at 5 o'clock every single morning and I get my ass out walking. I've literally been out for 83 minutes. I've walked 3.5 miles. I'm not trying to set any record, any pace. I'm just getting out here, getting in the sun, setting my circadian rhythm, chit-chatting to y'all, and, doing my thing. It's really great to get your head out in the quiet time, quit drinking, all that kind of stuff. Again, thank you all of you for joining. I am going to go inside and start making some eggs and some toast and stuff for my girls, and I will see y'all tomorrow. And I also have to say, I don't really do this, but I am very proud of myself right now, because I went through that entire live discussing this thing and with this man and my father, and I almost cried, but I didn't. So thank you guys for walking through that journey with me, and I hope y'all have a fabulous day, and stay tuned for some cute And super helpful reels today, okay? Have a fabulous day, y'all. Bye-bye.